Hello all, welcome to my channel. So today we will be looking at some programs from Geeks for Geeks, right? So let's get started, right? So first program is Python program to add two numbers, right? So we have some two numbers given and they want us to find the output and find the sum, right? So given two numbers num1 and num2, the task is to write a program to find the addition of these two numbers, right? We have to add these two numbers and give it the output, right? How can we do that? We have our main function, right? Def from which our function will get started, right? Def main, right? Main is the name of the function. It is convention that you should give it a name as main because it is advisable, but you may give it some other name also. In place of main you can say sum or anything else, right? So here what we will do, we will take input from the user, right? We will take input from the user. We will say what, for what was our first number? Our first number was num1, right? We can say num1 equals to integer value, take input from the user, right? And uh, give some message to the user to take input, right? I can say enter the first number, right? Enter the first number, enter the first number, right? User will enter the first number, right? And we will close it, right? This is for input and this is for integer value, right? It will be an integer value. Let's say I don't want integer value, I will take floating value because user can input floating value also, right? I can say float, right? Float of this. I can say again num2 equals to what? Floating value of input, right? Input, and we will have what? Enter the second number, enter the second number, right? Enter the second number and then we can close it, right? We have taken input from the user. Now we will save somewhere a sum, whatever we get from the sum function, right? We can say s equals to sum function. We will call this sum function and we will pass num1 comma num2, right? Num1 num2 will be passed, right? So this will happen. Once we get the sum, what we will do, we will print the sum, right? Print what? For f string, right? Print the sum of what? Num1 num1 comma, or we can say and this num2, right? Num2 is what? Is what? Is, we can say s, right? We can do this, right? And this one more function, right? uh uh so we want that our main function should execute first, right? How can we ensure that? We can say if, right? If what? Hyphen hyphen name hyphen hyphen double equals to underscore underscore main, right? Underscore underscore, and then we can say main, right? If name double equals to main, right? If we can say if this name of the function is what? Main, right? Then execute this main function, right? So it is mostly used for modules, right? So for example, if we had another module, right? For example, we had created this as a separate module and we are using this in another, right, module. Then whatever will be in the inside the main, this if name double equals to main, it will not execute, right? If we will import in some other program, right? For example, we have created another program, right? We have created another program of average, right? For example, we want to import sum function. We can say import sum, right? This whole we can name it sum, right? So, this file name as sum, right? If we can say import sum, now what will happen, that it will import it, right? But this will not get executed. Whatever function they will be calling inside that average file, it will get executed, right? So this is called what? This is called modules, right? This is what happens in modules. That's why we use if name double equals to name main, right? Execute main. If name equals to main, right? If our main function is what? Main, right? Then execute main. And it should be inside this file only, right? If it is outside this file, if name equals to main is outside this file, it will not get executed, right? That's why we use this, right? Also, we were seeing some function, right? So we had created some, right? We can create the def some function, and it will accept two parameter, right? Num1 comma num2, right? Num1 comma num2, and it will do what? It will return what? Num1 plus num2, right? Num1 plus num2, right? It should print what? Sum of the number. What will happen? This num1 has accepted some floating value, num2 has accepted another floating value, right? Now this will call sum function, right? This sum function will be called, it will return what? Num1, it will accept two parameters, right? Two arguments has been passed, num1 and num2. It will accept two parameters, num1 and num2. This can be separate, for example, a comma b, it will also accept num1 and num2, right? So a comma b, for example, we have num1 as 5 and num2 as 9, right? So 5 comma 9 has been passed here. If it would be a comma b, it will still accept 5 comma 9, right? Then we can have 5 plus 9, and it will return the value. It will return the value, and it will do what? It will return the value here, right, to s, and we can then print this value, right? We can print this value. Control x, yes, enter, right? Python 3 Python 3 practice.py, right? Python 3 practice.py, right? Enter the first number. Let's say, for example, 50 is the first number, right? Enter second number. We can say 30 is the second number, right? Now what will happen? It will give us the sum of 50 and 30 is 80, right? So this is what? This is Python program to add two numbers, right? Now another program we will be looking at that, find maximum of two numbers in Python, right? We have given two numbers, write a Python code to find the maximum of these two numbers, right? We can say, for example, if input is a equals to 2, b equals to 4, output should be 4, right? It should print maximum of two numbers, right? We can say it here, right? We can create it here, right? We can say, for example, we have def, right? Main, right? Main. Now in here I want to accept what? Two value, right? I can say a equals to what? Integer value, or let's say I want to accept floating value, right? Float, right? I want to accept floating value, take input from the user, right? I can do what? I can say enter first number, right? Enter first number, and then I can put colon here, right? Colon here, right? Enter first number. Then I can say what? B equals to, take floating value, right? Floating value, and take input, right? Input, and do what? Enter second number. Enter second number, right? Enter second number. Float, right? Then we can call a function, right? Which will find the maximum of these two numbers. We can say what? C equals to, let's say I want to save it in C, right? I can say C max underscore number, right? Max underscore number. I will call this function, and I will pass a comma b, right? I will pass a comma b, And once I will get the value, I will do what? I will print it, right? Print f string, right? F string. What to print? The maximum number between this and this is this, right? A and B is C, right? We can do this in the same fashion. We will say if hyphen hyphen name hyphen hyphen double equals to underscore underscore main, right? Underscore underscore main underscore underscore, right? If this is this, right? Do what? Call this function, right? Now we will create what? Maximum number function, right? We can set def max underscore number, right? Number, and I will pass what? A comma B, right? A comma B, and I will do what? I will not return, I will say if. I will check if A is greater than B, right? If A is greater than B, do what? Return A, right? A is maximum. Else do what? Else return B. B is maximum, right? Control X, yes, enter. Python 3. Python 3 factor.py. Right, we haven't put this. Let's just enter. Python 3 factor.py. Enter first number 56.9, right? Enter second number 78.5, right? 78.5 is highest, right? Is the maximum out of these two numbers. How this program works? We have taken input from the user, right? Enter first number. We have taken another number from the user, right? Enter second number. We have said I will save whatever, I will call this function and save it in C, right? Now this function has been called, right? Inside this function, it has taken a comma b as a parameter, right? It has checked if a is greater than b. If a is greater than b, then return a, else return b, right? It will return the value here to C, right? Then do what? Then print this, right? As easy as it gets, right? So these are the maximum of two numbers. Python program for to find the factorial of a number, right? Factorial is what? 6 comma 5 comma 5 multiplied by 4 multiplied by 3 multiplied by 1, right? We have done this earlier, right? We can solve this using what? Using Fibonacci number, right? Not Fibonacci, using recursive function, right? We can solve this using a recursive function. Understand this how, right? So for example, what is a factorial? Factorial, factorial of number, right? So for example, factorial of 0 is what? Factorial of 0 is what? 0 factorial is what? 1, right? 1 factorial is what? 1, right? 2 factorial is what? 2 into 1, right? 3 factorial is what? 3 into 1, 2 into 1, right? 4 factorial is what? 4 into 3 into 2 into 1. We can solve this using recursive function. How? We can see that this is 2 factorial, right? This is 2 factorial. And this is what? This is 3 factorial, right? This is 3 factorial. So we can break this problem into two problems, right? we can break this problems into two parts, right? We can say what is the factorial of a number. For example, we have n factorial. What is the factorial of a number? We can say n into what? Factorial of n minus 1, right? Factorial of n minus 1. This we have broken into two parts, right? One problem is broken into two parts. Again, let's say, for example, what should be the base condition? In recursive function, we want base condition, right? So, what should be the base condition? Base condition will be that what? If it is 0 factorial, it will be 1. It will be, if it is 1 factorial, it is 1, right? So, we can say if n is less than equals to 1, right? Return what? Return 1, right? If n is less than equals to 1, return 1, it will return 1. Else, do this, right? We can do this, right? How we can do this using recursive function? We can say, for example, let's say I will write main function, right? This is our main function. Main function will accept what? A value from the user for which he wants the factorial, right? I can say n will be the n will be the reference variable which will be pointing to this value, right? So n is the reference variable. Now I want the value from the user. I can say uh, write integer value, right? Input integer value, int input, right? I will input what? Enter the number, right? Enter the number. I can say enter the number, right? It will, the user will enter the number, right? And then do what? Then call this function, right? I will call this function. I will say I will f, for example, I will save it in f. I can say fact, right? Fact. And I will call what? I will send n here, right? I will send n here, and once we get f value f, right, we can print it, right? We can say print the factorial, the factorial of, right, the factorial of what? This n is, right, n is this f, right? N is f, the factorial of n is f, right? So we can do this. Now this is about main function. It will call another function, but to execute this function we want to set a condition here, right? If underscore underscore name underscore underscore double equals to, right, we have what? Underscore underscore main, right? Main underscore underscore main, right? Underscore underscore, and we can close it, right? And if name underscore underscore main, if it is what, name double equals to underscore underscore main, do what? Call this function, call main function, right? Now we will create recursive function, right? We can solve this question using recursive function, right? We can say def what? Factorial fact, right? Call this, create this function and accept n as a value, right? And do what? uh, if so base condition, if n is less than equals to 1, right? If n is less than equals to, do what? Return 1, right? Return 1. Else, do what? Else, or not else, we will directly return, we will say return, do what? Factorial, not factorial, we can say n into factorial of n minus 1, right? N minus 1, factorial of n minus 1. Control X, yes, enter, right? Factorial is 5 of 5 for is what? 120, right? We haven't put f string, right? We haven't put f string here. We can put f string here, right? We can say f string, control X, yes, enter. Python 3. Factorial of 5 is what? 120, right? Factorial of 5 is 120, right? 5 factorial is 120, right? Let's say, for example, we have this 5 factorial. What is the 5 factorial? 5 into 4 into 3 into 2 into 1, right? So 5 4 is 20, 23 is 60, 62 is 120, right? So 121 is 150, right? Factorial of 5 is 120. Factorial of 4 is what? 4 into 3 into 2 into 1, right? 4 3 is 12, 12 2 is 24, right? It should give us 24. Let's see, right? Let's see. So Python C factors.py 424, right? So this was about factorial of a number. Let's say factorial of 6, right? Which is given in the question, right? Factorial of 6 is what? 720, right? It is 720 only, right? So this is about factorial of a number. Also, we can solve this using what? Using loop also, right? Using loop also. Let's say, for example, in place of what? I will do this only, right? And then what? In place of this recursive function, I want to create function with loop, right? I can do what? I can call while loop, right? I can call while loop and run it till while, right? While I will be iterable, right? We can set the value of I to be 0, right? To be 0. And I, not I, n should be greater than equals to 1, right? It should be, or it should be greater than equals to 1, right? Greater than 1, we can say also this, right? And should be greater than 1, right? If it is greater than 1, then do what? Then multiply it with what? This n of this. We can say, for example, f. We can have some value f, for example. F equals to, and we can set value for f. We can say f equals to 1, right? F will be 1. We can say multiply this value with what? N, right? Multiply this value with n, f into n, right? And once increment this value by, or decrement this value by 1, right? Decrement this value by 1 and minus equals to 1, right? And do what? And then return this. Return what? This f, whatever the value you have inside f, right? We can return this value. Return, right? We can return this value, right? So this is about while loop. This is how we can solve this factorial of a number using while loop. Control X, yes. Enter, right? Python 3, 5, 120, right? Python 3, 6, 720, right? Python 3, 4, 24, right? What happened here? So we have taken input from the user, right? We have said that call this function and whatever value you will get, save it in f, right? Call this function. This function has been called. This input, the user input has been passed here to n, right? And we said I initialize I with 0 and initialize f with 1, right? And do what? While n should be greater than 1, right? N should be greater than 1 means this n, this value you have input, it should be greater than 1, right? So what happened? It should be greater than 1 and multiply it like this, right? It should be greater than 1. 1 is multiplied or not, it doesn't matter, right? So we can say f into equals to n, it is same as f into n, right? And assign it to f, right? And then do what? Decrement the value by 1, right? This is what happening here, right? 5 is decremented to 4, 4 is decremented to 3, right? So decrement this value by 1, and then once you get out of this loop, return f, right? Whatever value is saved inside f, return f, right? So this is what happened in factorial of a number. This is how we can create factorial of a number, right? Python program for simple interest, right? We have p into r into t, and it should be divided by 100, right? So we can say this main function will be called, right? So we can say take input, right, as p. Take input what? p equals to let's say floating value. I will take floating value, right? Input it, right? enter the principal, enter the principal amount, right? Enter the principal amount, right? R, and we will take what? T, right? Floating value, input, take the, enter the rate, right? Enter the, enter the what? Rate, right? Enter the rate. Also, enter the time, right? I can say I will input what? Input, enter the time, right? Enter the time, enter the time, right? Enter the time, and then call what? Call S. Let's say SI. I will save it in S, right? And I will call SI, right? And send what? P comma R comma T, right? Send this, right? Once you get this, print this value, print F string, right? We can say the simple interest, right? Simple interest of principal amount. This comma rate, this comma time, this is this, right? And S will save simple interest. Time is defined with T, right? And principal amount is defined with P, right? Rate is defined with R, right? And we can save it inside it, right? Now we will create what? Simple interest function, right? We will create simple interest function. We will set def simple interest do what? Take the argument p comma r comma t, right? Take these three parameters and then do what? Then return this value. Return p into r into t, right? Divided with 100. Divided with 100, right? Divided with 100. It should give us the principal amount, right? Control X, yes, enter Python 3 practice.py, right? Enter the principal amount. What is our principal amount? Principal amount is this 10,000, right? 5, 10,000, 10,000, right? 5 is our rate, 5 is the time. The simple interest of principal amount, this rate and time is 2,500. 2,500, right? So this was about what? Simple interest, right? It is as simple as that. Take principal amount from the user, take principal rate from the user, take time from the user, send principal rate time to this SI function. It will and save it here. Whenever you will return the value, it will go here. It will return what? It will multiply p into r into t and divide it by 100, right? Then this s will get this, and then print, it will print this, right? Now we will be looking at compound interest, right? So Python program for compound interest, right? So in the same way we have found out what? Simple interest. In the same way we will find out what? Compound interest. We can say I will call compound interest function, right? I will take this PRT as a parameter, right? In this compound function I will say CI is the function name of my compound interest, right? Now I will do what? I will do what? I will take find out amount, right? Amount is equals to P into 1 plus R upon 100 to the power T, right? I can say A equals to amount equals to P multiply P with what? 1 plus, right? P multiply it with what? 1 plus 1 plus R upon 100. 1 plus R upon 100, right? R upon 100. And then do what? To the power T, right? We can say this to the power T, right? Here we can add power function, right? Use power function, and it will find out power of this, right? Right, and multiply it with P, right? Multiply it with P. This is how A has been found out. Then we can say compound interest is what? A minus P, right? So we can say return, return, return A minus P, right? Return A minus P. Now this should return the value here, right? We can say the compound interest, let's say compound, compound, compound interest of principal amount rate time is this side. Control X, yes, enter. Right. Python 3. Python 3 practice.py, right? Enter the principal amount. Let's say we will check this, right? What is the principal amount? 3000, right? 3000, 3000. And what is the rate? Rate is 5 and time is 3 years, right? 5 and time is 3 years. What is the, this is the compound interest 472.875, right? 472.875. So this is the compound interest. So this is how we can find out the compound interest, right? We will be writing a program whether it is Armstrong number or not. Now understand this, what is an Armstrong number? For example, we have a number here 153, right? Now this is an Armstrong number. How? If we add this, right? If we add this digit, and the each digit will have the power of the number of digits, right? So what is the number of digits? It is 3, right? So this will have power of 3, and if we add this, if it is comes same as the number on which we are doing the operation, right? So it will be called an Armstrong number, right? It will be called an Armstrong number, right? For example, if we had another number, right? 4464, right? Something like this. If we do what? 4 to the power 4 plus 4 to the power 4 plus 6 to the power 4 plus 4 to the power 4 double equals to, if it comes same, it will be called as an Armstrong number. If it doesn't come same, it will be not called, it will not be called an Armstrong number, right? So what is an Armstrong number? Armstrong number is that number on which if we add each digit along with the power, and what will be the power? Power will be the number of digits. If it comes same on the number on which we are doing the operation, it will be called as an Armstrong number, right? Now we will be writing program for this. Right? So we say we will start a program with main, right? We can say def main. Inside it we will be have what? We will take input from the user, right? We will say int, right? Input, right? Input, and we will take input from the user, and we will send some a message for the user. We can say enter the number, right? Enter the number, right? The user will enter the number, right? And we will save it somewhere, right? Let's say I will save it in n, right? I can say n equals to int of input of this number, right? And I will check whether this is an Armstrong number or not, right? We will call a function, right? And we will check whether it returns true or false, right? Armstrong number will either return whether the number is Armstrong number or not. It will return whether true or false, right? We can say if, let's say the name of my function is what? Right? And I will say I will throw n to it, right? I will throw n to it, If it is true, then print what? Print this Armstrong, right? Print what? Armstrong number, right? Armstrong number, right? Print Armstrong number, right? Print Armstrong number, right? Print this. If it is not returning true, we can say else. Do what? Else print what? Print not an Armstrong number, right? Not an Armstrong number, right? Not an Armstrong number, right? Print this, right? We want to show that it starts with main function. We can say if underscore name underscore double equals to this code double quotes underscore main underscore. If it is this, if name is main, we can say call this function, call main function, right? So this we have defined. Now we will define what? Arm function, right? We will say def arm, right? Def arm, and do what? Do what? Start while loop, right? While do what? A should be A, not A. What is our number? We will take what? N as a parameter, right? N as a parameter. Then we will say while N is greater than 0, right? N is greater than 0, right? Check till, do this operation till N is greater than 0, right? And we can say, do what? So what we are trying to do, we are trying to say, right? We are trying to say while N is greater than 0, right? Let's say for example 153 we have. We will do what? We will first find the modulo of this, right? Modulo of this. What is the modulo of 153? It is 3, right? Then we will do what? We will save it somewhere, right? We will save it somewhere. Let's say for example R, right? And we will do what? We will say do what? Add this to sum, right? We have taken sum equals to 0, right? Sum plus equals to, do what? Add. It is same just like as sum equals to sum plus, right? Add this, also find the power of it, right? Also find the power of it, power of r comma power of number of digits, right? So we have to find the number of digits, right? How can we find the number of digits? Using len, right? We have to convert our integer value into string, right? Integer value into string, and we can find the length, right, of that, and we will save it somewhere, for example L, and we will say add this power, this r to the power L to this, right? So let me do this, right? We will require what? We will require L, right? We will require L. So we can say call this function, right? Save it somewhere L, in L, save somewhere, and call this function. Let's say I name it len number underscore number, right? I call this function, and I will put what? I will send n, right? I will send n, and now let me define this function def length of what? Number, right? And I will take what? N, right? I will take n, right? And do what with that? Return length of, right? I have to convert it into string because length function can only be used with string, right? So it cannot be used with integer value. I will return this. So this has been returned, right? Then I will do what? Also I require what? Sum, right? I require sum. I can say do what? Do what? Sum, right? I can say sum equals to 0, right? Sum equals to 0, and I will run the while loop, right? I will also require this n for checking whether a number is what? A number, our sum is equals to this original number or not. We can save it somewhere like temp, right? temp double equals to, not double equals to, temp equals to n, right? Temp equals to n. I have saved it in temp, right? I will do what? I will call, I will start this loop, n should be greater than 0, right? I will say, do what? Save it in z and do what? Do n modulo, n modulo 10, right? N modulo 10. Do n modulo 10 and save it in z. And then do what? Then this sum plus equals to, sum plus equals to, add to sum and assign it to sum, what? Power of what? Power of this this n, not n, power of z, right? Z, add z to this is the last digit, right? And we have to find the power of this, right? We can say L, right? L will be the power, right? And then do what? Then increment this value by 1, this divide this value by 10, right? And we will find first two value, right? So we can say do what? And floor division, right? Floor division, I want to divide it by 10 and I want to assign it to what? I want to assign it to n, right? I want to assign it to n. Once it get out of the loop, do what? Once it gets out of the loop, do what? Return whether it is true or false, right? Return, return, right? Return whether the stamp double equals to sum or not, right? Return whether temp double equals to sum or not, right? Control X, yes, enter, right? We can say Python 3 practice.py, right? Python 3 practice.py. Enter the number 153, right? Armstrong number, right? Again, I will run this and let's say I will put what? 120. 120 is not an Armstrong number, right? Or not an Armstrong number, right? Let's say we will check for some other value, right? Some other value is not given here, right? For example, 1634, right? The 4-digit number, right? 1364, 1364, right? 1364. It is 1634, right? 1634. 1634. It's an Armstrong number, right? So this is the function of Armstrong number, right? So what happened here? We have said n equals to input this number, take input from the user, then check whether it returns true. If it returns true, then print Armstrong number. If it returns false, then print not an Armstrong number, right? It went here, right? It went here to check and it has got what? Let's say our user has given us 153, right? So 153, then it will find the length of this 153. Length of 153, it will call this function and it will return length of this 153, right? It will return 3, right? Then what will happen? Then we will assign sum equals to 0 and it will this length 153 3, right? So 3 will be saved L to L, right? And then we can say sum equals to 0 and then we have saved it somewhere to temp, right? We have started our loop, right? We have said n should be greater than 0, right? Z equals to n modulo 10. What we did here is that, we said that the what? You have a number, right? 153. This should be greater than 0, right? Now do what? This is n, right? So now do what? 153 modulo 10 and save it somewhere, right? Modulo 10. It is what? 3, right? So r equals to 3. Now do what? Now this sum, right? Sum plus equals to do what? Power of this r comma and L. What was L? It was 3, right? So r comma 3, right? So r was 3, right? So now this we said that do what? This decrement this value, right? Floor division this value by 10 and we can say once it floor division, so 153's floor division will be what? 15, right? 15. Now this value becomes 15. In the same way, loop will go on till it becomes 0. Once it becomes 0, it will go out of the loop and it will say if this temp double equals to this sum. We were saving value some value here, right? So it will say if temp double equals to sum. If it is, then print this, right? We have said in main function, right? We have said if it is, then print this. If not, then print this, right? So this is what happened here, right? So this was about Armstrong number, right? Now we will be looking at another program, right? So program to find area of a circle, right? So what is the area of a circle? It's pi r square, right? So we can directly say that what to do. Def main, right? We have main function, right? We have main function, and in it take input from the user. What radius, right? I can say in, let's say r, I will take radius, right? I will say int input print a message for the user. I can say enter the radius, enter the radius, right? Enter the radius, and I can close this, right? I can close this also. Then I can say call this function, right? And save its value in something, right? So let's say for example a, right? Save this in a, and we can say arr is the function name, right? And we will send what radius, right, to it, right? And then once we get it, we will print it, right? Print area of circle is this, right? Area of circle with radius, with radius. And in radius we will say what r, and area is represented by a, right? We can close this, right? We have to put it f string, right? F string area of circle with radius this and this, right? We want to make sure that this main function will execute, right? So what we do, we will say if underscore underscore name underscore underscore double equals to what, main underscore underscore main, right? Underscore underscore, right? If this is this, right, do what, run this function, main function, right? Now above here we will do what, we will define our function, right? We will say define def area, right? And we will take what, radius, right? And it will return, right? Return what? So to get the pi value, we have to import pi module, right? Math module, right? So we can say import math, right? And here I will return what, math dot pi, right? Here return math dot pi. It should be multiplied with what, dot I have to put, right? Math dot pi, multiply it with what, multiply it with this r square, right? So we can say power of r comma 2, right? Multiply it with power of I comma 2. Return this, it will return this, and it will print it here, right? Control X, yes, enter, right? We can say Python 3 practice dot py, right? Enter the radius. So which radius here it is given? It has given this 4, right? We can give 4. Value is area of this circle is this 50.265, right? 50.265 something like that, right? So this is how we can find the area of a circle, right? We have taken the input from the user. We have called this function, right? Inside this function, we have written what? Multiplied r square with what? Mat.py, and it we have written it here, and it has been printed, right? So this is how we can find the area of a circle. Now Python program to print all prime numbers in an interval, right? So we have been given an interval and we want to print all prime numbers in that interval, right? So, so here, let's say in main function, we will take what? So interval will be given by the user, right? So we can say start interval is represented by s, right? And we will delete all this function, right? We don't specify any of this function. We don't specify any of this function. So we can say what should be the start index? User, you should give us, right? We can say integer value. I want it, right? Input, right? I want to print message for the user. I can say uh, enter the starting number, right? Enter the starting number. I can say enter the starting number. User will enter the starting number, right? Then we will do what? We will say enter the end number, right? E equals to integer value input, enter the last number, right? Enter the last number, enter the last number. These two numbers we have got, right? Now we will say what? We will call a function, right? We will call a function. Let's say interval function. Let's get interval function, interval, right? And in that we will pass s comma e, right? S comma e, and we will say what? We will call this function, right? Let me call this function, right? And this, now we will create this function, right? Now this will take each interval in it, right? Also we want to pass last interval. So what do I want to say? I want to say pass this last interval. I want to include this last interval, right? So if we have passed s comma e, right? So it will ignore this last interval in range, right? So I will pass it in range, right? For example, I will say s comma e, right? Only s comma e. I will pass it here only, right? I then say def, right? I will create interval function, interval, right? And I will what? I will say s comma e, take s comma e, right? Take s comma e. Now do what? Now loop through each what? From s to e, right? But before that, we want to assure that s should be greater than 1 and e should be greater than 1. Why? Because uh, prime number is greater than 1, right? So the smallest prime number is 2, right? So we can say if s is less than equals to 1, right? If s is less than equals to 1, or e is less than equals to 1, right? If any one of them is less than equals to 1, do what? Print, print, print what? Prime number, prime number should be greater than 1, right? Prime number should be greater than 1. I will print this, right? I will print this, right? If this is it, I will print this, right? Else, if it is not less than 1, right? Then do what? Then loop to it, right? For let's say I, right? In range of what? Range of s comma e, right? s comma, and I want to include last value also, s comma e plus 1, right? Because range function will do what? Will range before e, right? But I want to range in this last, I want to run my loop for this last element also, right? So I will range e plus 1, right? And then do what? In this call, call what? Call another function, right? Which will check whether this number is prime or not, right? If check prime, let's say check prime underscore prime, right? Check prime. Here we will pass what? I, right? Here we will pass I. If it is true, then print what? Print this value. Print I, right? Print I, right? Else, else do what? Else do nothing, right? So we can say print this number. If it is true, if it is not true, then don't do anything, right? Now we can define this check prime function, right? Def check underscore prime, right? Underscore prime. And here we will pass what? I, right? Let's say I. Here we will pass I. We will accept I, one number, right? We will accept this number. And now we will check whether this is prime or not. How to check? Right? So we can say while, using while loop we can check, right? While, and we will check from 2, right? We will check from 2. Why we are checking from 2? I will let you understand right now, right? So we can say C not C. I can say, let's say C equals to 2, right? So why we are checking from 2? Understand this, right? Understand this here, right? So why we are checking from 2, right? So what are the prime numbers? So which is divisible by 1 and the number itself, right? Why 3 is a prime number? Because it is divisible by 1 and it is divisible by 3, right? Why is 5 a prime number? It is divisible by 1 and it is divisible by 5, right? So what we are doing, we are saying, for example, if we have a prime number 11, right? We are saying we will be checking it from 2 to the last number, right? To this 11, and we will check from here, right? Because 1 should divide this number, right? So if from this 2 to 11 it divides from 10, right? We'll check till 10. If it divides this number, right? If it divides this number, then it is not a prime number, right? Not a prime number. If 1 and 11 divides, it's a prime number, right? It's a prime number. But if 2 from 2 to 10 it is dividing the number, then it is not a prime number, right? So we are checking from 2, right, till the end of the number. Now here's also we can optimize the solution, right? So for example, we have something like what, 24, right? We are checking whether 24 is a prime number or not, right? How can we check? So 1 into 24 is a prime 24, right? And 1 into 24 and 2 into 12 is also 24, right? 3 3 8, right? 3 into 8 is also 24, right? 4 6 are 24, right? Then 5, no, 6 4s are 24, right? 6 4s are 24. 7, no. 8 3 are 24, right? Then we have 9, not 10, no. 11, no. 12, right? 12 2s are 24, right? 12 2s are 24. Then we have 24 into 1, right? Now we can optimize our solution. Why? Because this from 1 into 24 to this 4 into 6, it is repeating, right? This is repeating. This 4 has been repeated, 3 has been repeated, it is repeating, right? So we can check till here, right? Till here. Let's say if it's a what, perfect square 36, right? So we will check till 6 into 36. 6 is a 36, right? After that it will be repeating, right? So We were checking till what? Under root of 36, right? Under root of 36 is what? 6, right? So we will be checking under root of this number, right? So here we will be checking whether C into, right? C is less than equals to what? This number, right? I, we have I, right? Now this C into C, how the C into C? Because we were saying C should be less than equals to under root of I, right? We can square it, right? We can square it. Now, when we square it, it will be C square equals to what? I, right? And it will be C into C is less than equals to right? Less than equals to I, right? That's why we will be checking it should be less than equals to what? C into C, right? It should be less than equals to C into C. We can say C into C, right? C into C should be less than equals to what? I, right? It should be less than equals to I. If it is less than equals to I, check if this I modulo C, right? I modulo C double equals to 0. If double equals to 0, if it is dividing this, then do what? Then return what? False, right? Return false, return false. Else, else, else do what? Else return no, not else. We will return for this function, right? So once it becomes, it comes out of this loop, we can say return true, right? Means it has checked for every number. Now we will be returning true, right? Also, we have to increment this C value, right? So here it will return false, right? It will return false. Also, it will increment the value of C, right? It will increment the value of C for this while loop, right? So it will increment of the value of C for this while loop, C plus equals to 1, right? It will increment the value for this while loop, right? And this is it, right? This is it. Control X, yes, enter. Python 3, package.py, right? Okay, we haven't put double bracket here, right? In the input function, right? Here, double bracket, control X, yes, enter. Python 3, package.py. Enter the starting number. Starting number should be 2, right? Enter the last number, 13, right? We have made this mistake, right? So we have done what? We haven't uh, right name. We haven't put the right name. Check prime is the function name, right? Check prime. Control X, yes, enter. It was saying, right? It was saying check prime is not defined, right? We have done right this, right? Python say package.py. Enter the starting number. The starting number should be 2, right? Enter the last number. It should be 13, right? 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13. These are the prime numbers, right? These are the prime numbers, right? So this is about prime, right? How this is printing within the interval. So what we are doing here, we are saying input the starting interval, input the end interval, right? Now we are calling this interval function, right? Then do what? Then inside this interval function we are passing s comma e, right? The starting number and the ending number, and we are saying if a starting number is less than equals to 1 or if ending number is less than equals to 1, we can't print we can't find any prime number. We can say prime number should be greater than 1, right? Else we can say we can loop through this s to e, right? and we will check for each whether they are prime or not, for each number whether they are prime or not, right? We can say for I in range will give us the range of values, right? So it will start from this starting index and end will at this end index, right? But why we have given it e plus 1? Because it will check till, and it will check till e, right? It will check till e minus 1, right? It will not check for e. Why it will not check? Because this is excluded, right? Last element of the range is excluded, right? So we want it to get included, right? So we have said that check it for e plus 1 till e plus 1, right? Then we have called this function and we have said that if it is returning true, if this check prime function is returning true, then print this print the value, right? And we have called this function, right? So in this function what we have done, we have said initialize c with 2, right? Then run the loop and say c into c should be less than equals to I, right? I have told you earlier why it is like that, right? Then we can say if I modulo c, right, the number modulo this 2 double equals to 0, return false. It will return false, right? And it will not print the prime number, right? Else do what? It increment its value by 1, right? C plus equals to 1. Then it will check for another number, right? If it is divisible by 3, if it is divisible by 4, if it is divisible by 5, if it is not divisible by any number within this range, right? Within this less than equals to I, C into C is less than equals to I, then do what? Then return true, right? It will return true and it will print this number. Then again it has taken this first number, right? Then again it will take another number, right? After this, right, it will go to s plus 1, right? And it will say check prime for this, and again it will check it, right? And it will return the value here, right? And it will print it if it is not a prime number. If it is a prime number, it will return false and nothing will happen. Then it will check for another loop, right? So this is what is happening here, right? So this is Python program to print all prime numbers in an interval, right? Python program to check prime number. It will be checked like this only, right? To check prime number, right? We can say what this function, we don't require this function, right? Right. We can say I will take a number and check whether it is a prime number or not, right? Enter the number, right? Enter the number, enter the number for which you want to check whether it is a prime number or not, right? Enter that number and call this prime number function, right? I can say if, right, it will return true or false, right? If check underscore prime, right? If check underscore prime and send as there, right? Send as there. If it is a prime number, print what? Print uh print this prime, right? Prime. Else, else, right? Else print not prime, right? Not prime. Else print not prime, right? And then we can create this function def check prime is the function name, right? Check prime, check prime is the function name, and we will pass what? We will pass s to it, right? S to it, and we will say check prime, right? Uh, if not if, we will loop through it, right? We will say while c into c is less than equals to 1, right? None less than equals to s, right? Less than equals to s. And we will define c here, right? We will define c here, right? We can say c equals to 2, right? C equals to 2 while c into c is less than equals to S, right? Check what if this S modulo C double equals to 0. Check if S modulo double equals to 0. If yes, then return what? Return true, right? Not return false, right? It should not divide, right? So return false, right? Also increment the value by 1, right? C plus equals to 1, right? C plus equals to 1. Else if it comes out of the loop, return true, right? Return true, right? This is how we can check whether it is prime or not, right? Control X, yes, enter. Python 3 vectors.py. Again, we have not closed it, right? We have not closed it, right? Control X, yes, enter. Python 3 factors.py, enter the number. 5 is a prime number. Prime, right? 8 is not a prime number, right? Python 3 factors.py, 8 is not a prime number, not prime, right? So this is how we can check whether a number is prime or not, right? Prime or not, right? Python program for nth Fibonacci number, right? So in the same way, what is a Fibonacci number? What is a Fibonacci number, right? So Fibonacci number is like this, right? 0, comma 1. 0 plus 1 is what? 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. 2 plus 1 is 3. 3 plus 2 is 5, right? 5 plus 3 is 8. 8 plus 5 is 13, right? 13 plus 8 is 21, right? 21 plus 13 is 34, right? 34 plus 21 is 55, right? So this is a Fibonacci number, right? And we have a problem statement that I want to find Fibonacci of n, right? We can solve this using recursive function, right? We can break this problem into two problem, right? How can we break this problem? So for example, Fibonacci of 5 is what? Fibonacci of 4 plus Fibonacci of 3, right? Fibonacci of 3, right? Fibonacci of 3. It is like that, right? So we can break this problem. We can say Fibonacci of n is what? N minus 1 plus Fibonacci of n minus 2, right? This is what we can do. It is 1 below it, right? And it is after that, right? So this is n is the index number, right? We have break this statement into recursive function, right? Recursive relation, right? This is our recursive relation. We have broke our problem into two sub problem, right? Now we can say we want to find the base condition, right? So in here, in zeroth index it was 0, in first index it was 1, right? In second index it was 1, so it is changing from here, right? But from here it is not changing, right? So we can say if n is less than equals to 1, right, return what? Return n, right? Return this value, right? Return this value, right? So we can say this, right? This is our what? Base condition. This is our base condition. Right? So using this base condition recursive relation, we can find the Fibonacci number of this, right? We can find the Fibonacci number of this. We can say, we can ask user to input a number, right? To input the index, right? We can say the user will enter the index, right? For nth Fibonacci number, right? Enter the index. Enter the index, right? We have asked user to enter the index, right? We have asked user to enter the index. Then do what? Then call this function, right? We can say if, right? Not if. We will print what? But another Fibonacci number, right? So we will want to save it somewhere. For example, f, right? We can say Fibo, right? Fibo of n, right? We will save it in f, and we will print this value, right? We can say print uh, the Fibonacci number for this is what? This, right? For this index, right? For this index, and it is what? N, right? For nth index is this, what? This f, right? Nth index, it is f, right? We can say this, right? Now we will define what? Fibo function, right? We will pass n here, right? In here, we will say what is our base condition? Base condition is if n is less than equals to 1, right? If n is less than equals to 1, right? Do what? Return n, right? Return the index, right? If else, we can say return what? Return this function. We can say Fibo of n minus 1, right? Fibo of n minus 1. Do what? Fibo of n minus 1. Add this to what? Add this to Fibo of n minus 2, right? Fibo of n minus 2. We can do this, right? Now it will find the Fibonacci number for this function, right? Control X, yes, enter. Let's say, what is the Fibonacci number? Fibonacci number. This is second index. This is third. This is fourth. This is fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, tenth. Not ninth, it is tenth, right? So ninth is 34, eighth is 21. That's the fifth Fibonacci number is 5, right? The practice.py, right? Enter the index, right? For example, fifth index. The number is 5, right? For example, eighth index. The number is not, we have to run this, right? Eighth index. The number is what? 21, right? The 21 was our number, right? Eighth index 21, right? We can also find Fibonacci number using while loop, right? So, for example, if we define this function def Fibo, right? Fibo is the function name, and it will accept what? N, right? It will accept N, and it will do what? It will say here, check if N is less than equals to 1, right? Less than equals to 1. Return that index, right? Return that index. I can say return index, right? What is the index? N, right? Return N. Else, do what? Else, else, do what? We will have I, right? We will loop to something, right? We will say I equals to 2, right? We will start with 2 because A and B will be booked, right? A will be 0, right? And B will be what? First two index, right? So we will start from second index. So from third index, right? So 0th and first index is booked, right? 0 with 0 and 1. And we will start with second index, right? And we will say while I is less than equals to what? Less than equals to this and, right? Loop through this till it is less than equals to this, right? Less than equals to this index value, right? A loop through this, save B somewhere for temporary, right? We will save it in temp, right? Temp equals to B, and we will say increase the value of B with b plus equals to a, right? B equals to b plus a, right? It is adding the number before it and the number before that number which we are adding, right? Then do what? In a, put temp, right? It will be uh, uh, the next number after a, right? So this is how we will do it, right? And then do what? I equals to I plus equals to 1, right? I plus equals to 1. It will do what? It will increase the value of loop, right? The iterable, right? Uh, which is increasing, right? Then we can say do what? Which is iterating through this loop. It is increasing the value of that, right? Then after it comes out of the while loop, return what? Return b, right? B would be the last value, right? Return this. Let's say control X, yes, enter. And we say Python 3 practice practice.py, right? Practice.py, enter the index number 5. It should give us 5, right? Python 3 index practice.py, index number is 8, right? It is 21, right? So this is how we can find the Fibonacci number, right? Using while loop. What is happening here? What is happening here? So here we are saying take the input of the index number, right? Then we are calling this function and saving it uh, to f, right? Whatever the value will be returned. If we are calling this function, here it is saving the input number, input index we have taken from the user, right? And then it is saying if this input number, this index number is less than equals to 1. If it is less than equals to 1, then return this value. If it will be 0, it will return 0. If it will be 1, it will return 1, right? Else, what to do? I equals to 2. We will start from index number 2, right? We will not start from 0 and 1 because it is booked with a equals to 0 and b equals to 1, right? 0th index has 0 value and first index will have 1 as a value, right? Fibonacci number, right? So we will start our loop while loop with I should be with 2, right? This should be less than n, right? For example, we have put 5, right? 2 is less than equals to 5, right? So temp will have what? B, right? Let's dry run this, right? Let's dry run this. So we are saying what? We are saying that this what? This we have n equals to what? N equals to 5, right? So we will start with I is less than equals to n, right? So we are saying whether 2 is less than equals to 5. Yes, it is. Then we are in temp, we are saving what? B. A is what? 0. B is 1, right? Then we are saving in temp we are saving what? 1, right? 1. And then what we are doing? B equals to B plus A, right? So what is the value of B? It is 1. And what is the value of A? It is 0, right? So we are saying B is now become 1, right? So B has now become 1, right? Then what is happening? Then we are saying do what? In A, put temp, right? So temp was 1, right? So it will now become 1, right? Again, this has again, so it was here temp was B, right? So again it went here. We are saying increase the value of I by 1, right? So I was earlier what? 2, right? Now it has become 3. 3 is less than 5, right? It is. Then in temp save B, right? So temp will have what value? Temp will have B's value. B's value is what? 1, right? Then B equals to B plus A, right? So B equals to B is what? B is 1, right? A is 1, right? B will be what? 2, right? B will be 2. And then A equals to temp. A will have what? Temp, right? So temp was B. B is what? Earlier B was what? 1, right? Here temp, so temp is here 1, right? So A will have what? 1, right? So A will again have 1, right? Then we have what? We have this increment the value of I by 1. 4. 4 is less than 5, right? Then we can have temp equals to B, right? So this temp temp will have what? Bth value. B is 2, right? So it will be 2, right? And we can have b equals to 2 plus a, right? So 2 plus 1, right? It is now become 3, right? B has now become 3. 2 plus 1 is 3, right? 2 plus 1 is 3. And then we can say in a, put temp value. So it is a has now what? 2, right? Then we can say I equals to I plus 1, right? It has become 5. 5 is less than 5. Yes, it is. Then we have said in temp put b, right? B is what? 3, right? So in temp 3 has been printed. Again we can say do what? A equals to temp, no, b equals to b plus a, right? Do what? B equals to b plus a, so b is 3 and add is with 2, it has become now become 5, right? So a equals to temp, right? So a was temp was 3, right? So now the value of a would become 3, right? Then we can say I plus 1, 6. 6 is less than equals to 5. No, it is not. It will come out of the loop, right? After return we are after it comes out of the loop, we are returning b, right? So we are returning the value of b. What is the value of b? It is 5, so it will return 5, right? So 5 is the Fibonacci number for fifth index, right? So this is what happening in Fibonacci number, right? Nth Fibonacci number, right? Python program for how to check if a given number is Fibonacci number. We have to write a program to check whether a number is Fibonacci number or not, right? Not a Fibonacci number. Python program for how to check if a given number is Fibonacci number, right? So we have to check. A number will be given, right? For example, 8 will be given. We have to check whether it's a Fibonacci number or not, right? There's one thing, right? So interesting property of Fibonacci number is given here, right? It is saying a number is Fibonacci if and only if one or both of this 5 multiplied by our number square, number raised to square, raised to power square plus 4, or this is a perfect square, right? So if either this is a perfect square or either this would be the perfect square, it would be the what? Fibonacci number, right? So we can use this property, right? We can say input what? Input, enter the number, right? Enter the number. We want to check it for number, right? We want to check it for number. Enter the number, right? Enter the number, right? Enter the number. And we are saying we are checking what? We are checking Fibonacci number, right? We will make a function check Fibo, right? And give it n, right? We are checking Fibonacci number, so we must be checking it if with if condition, right? If it returns true or false. If check Fibo and, right? If it returns true, do what? Do yes, or if it doesn't return anything, do what? No, right? Print. If it is true, then print what? If it is true, then print yes, it's a Fibonacci number. Yes, right? Print this. If it is not, if it doesn't return true value, if it returns false, else print what? Print what? Else print no, right? It's not a Fibonacci number, right? Now we will define this this function check Fibo, right? We will define this function check Fibo, right? We will say def check underscore Fibo, right? Fibo, and we will accept what? N, right? We will accept N, and in this we will check what? If this is a Fibonacci number or not, right? We will say if, again if condition, or not if, we can say return. We will again call another function, right? Another function we can have is what? check perfect square, right? Check square, right? Check square, square, check square. And in this we will send what? We will send two value, right? So we have this property, right? We will use this property. We will say 5 into n square plus 4, right? 5, right, into n square, right? We can say power of, right? Power of n comma 2, right? N comma 2, right? N comma 2, power of n comma 2 plus 4, right? Plus 4, right? Plus 4. Send this value, right? Send this value, or send this value. If this becomes false, send this value, right? Or check for this, check square, right? Call this function, return this value, right? Check for this if this is true or not. If it returns false, check for this value. What is the value? 5 into n square minus 4, right? 5 into n square minus 4. 5 multiplied by power of what? N square, right? N comma 2, right? N comma 2 minus 4, right? Minus 4. Check for this, right? Check for this or check for this, right? So now we will create what? This check square function, right? Check square function. We will say def check underscore square, right? Check square, and accept what? Accept this value. Let's say I will accept n, right? I can have anything here, right? Which will accept the value. It is accepting either this value or this value. If this returns false, check for this. If this returns true, then return this value here, right? So we will say check. We will want to find out the square root of this, right? Why we want to find out the square root of this? Because we will multiply it then, and we will check whether it is returning the same number, this number, or not, right? Because it is saying our number is Fibonacci if and only if one or both, right? Either this or both of them is a perfect square. It should be a perfect square, right? So we have to find the square root of this. We can import what? Math module, right? Import math, and we can use a square root of this. We can say math dot a square root of what? This n value which you have saved here, right? And we can say save it here in something like r, right? In r, right? Save it in r, and save it in r. Then return what? Return this r into r, r into r. If it's a perfect square, r into r double equals to double equals to n, right? Return this. If it is returns true, then it will return true. If it doesn't return true, it will check for this. If it returns true, it will return here true. If it doesn't return true, if it returns false, if it returns false here, right? Control X, yes, enter, right? Python 3 practice.py, enter the number. 8 is a Fibonacci number, right? So yes, it's a Fibonacci number. Python 3 practice.py, 7 is not a Fibonacci number, right? No, it's not a Fibonacci number, right? So this is how we can check whether a number is Fibonacci number or not, right? What is happening here is that it is taking input from the user, right? Enter the number for which you want to check whether it's a Fibonacci number or not, right? Then it is checking. If check info, if it is returning true, then print this, yes, or if it is not returning true, print this, right? Then it is doing what? It is checking here, right? It will return this function, right? It will return this function. It will return true or false, right? So this function will return true or false, right? So this it is checking for this function. Check square. Send this value, right? Send this value. This value should be what? Square, right? this value should be perfect square. Now we are checking whether this is a perfect square or not. We have sent it here, right? And we have using math module, we have found the square root of this, and we have multiplied the square root 2 times, and if it is a perfect square, so 16 is a perfect square, right? So 4 into 4 equals to 16, right? So in this way also it should be equals to this, right? This number which we have got. If it's a perfect square, then it's a Fibonacci number. Return this. If it's a perfect square, it will return true here, it will return true here. If it doesn't return true here, there's a or condition. Or conditions checks first condition. If it returns true, it will go back here. If it doesn't return true, it will not execute this code. It will go for the another check, right? So it will check this function, right? If it is false, right, it will check this function. It will send the value here, and it will also find the square root of this, and it will try to multiply this, right? And if it's a perfect square, it will return true. It will return true here, right? If it's not a perfect square, it will return false. It will return false here. It will return false here, right? ASCII value of a character, right? So we will take character here, right? N equals to integer value, not integer value, we want to take string, right? We can directly say input this this, right? Input this, what? Enter a single character, right? Enter a single character. We want to enter a single character. Then check, not check, we will save the value here, right? We will save the value. We want to return the ASCII value, right? We will save the value here. We will save the value here. We will say s equals to ASCII value, right? I will return what? I will call this function, let's say a function, right? And it will take what? N as a value, right? And I will print this, right? I will print this s, right? Whatever value I get, right? I will print this. Now I have to create this a function, right? A function, I want this, right? I can say def a function, and it will take n, right? And then return what? So odd is a function, right? Odd is a function which will return ASCII value of any character, right? So it will take n, right? It will return ASCII value of this, right? Control X, yes, enter. We can say Python C practice.py, right? Control C, Python C, let's say Python C practice.py, right? Enter a single character, let's say a, right? Its ASCII value is 97, right? In the same way, a's ASCII value is 97. Capital D, let's say capital D, right? Capital D, its ASCII value is 68, right? Its ASCII value is 68. This is how we can find the ASCII value of any character, right? Python program for sum of squares of first and natural number, right? First and natural number, right? First and natural number. So we will have what? We will have something like this, right? We will have, let's say 5, right? So it will say 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5, right? It will find the sum of this number, right? So this is first and natural number, right? Now how to do this, right? We can have a main function. We can say input, enter a number, right? For which you want to find the what? Sum of n natural number, right? Input number, right? And we can say we want it in integer value, right? Integer value. I want the integer value of this number, right? I want the integer value of this number, right? And then do what? Once you get it, right? s equals to sum is of function, right? Sum is of function, and here send n, right? Once you get it, print it, right? I can print this value, print s, right? Print s, right? I can define this function def, def what? Sum, right? Def sum. Inside sum we have what? We have taken n, right? We have taken n, and we can do what? We can say run what? While loop, right? While I is less than equals to n, right? While I is less than equals to n, right? And this, so I is the iterable. We will define I here, I equals to 0, right? I equals to 0, uh, and we will say what? We will say, let's say I equals to 1, right? I equals to 1, and we will say sum equals to 0, right? We will add in sum, right? Sum equals to sum plus equals to sum equals to sum plus what? I, right? Sum plus I. It will go up till this, right? Sum of squares of first and natural number. We don't want this only. We want to add power of, right? Power of this. We can say sum I, right? I want the power of this, right? Power of this I, right? Comma 2, right? Power of this sum plus, and then we can say what? That I can say this, increment this value, right? Increment the value of I, increment the value of I, right? Increment the value of I. So do this and increment the value of I plus equals to 1, right? I plus equals to 1. Once it gets out of the loop, return sum, right? Return sum, or s, let's say. Sum is a function name, right? Sum is a function name, right? We don't want to create some confusion, right? So return as, right? Control X, yes. Enter Python 3 vectors.py. Enter a number, right? 4, let's say. 4. It has given us 30, right? 4, it has given us 30. 5, it should give us 55, right? 5, it should give us 55, right? So this is how we can find the square, sum of square of number, right? Sum of Python program for cube sum of first and natural number. It will do this like this only, right? The only difference would be what? It will become cube, right? Control X, yes, enter. Python 3 practice.py, right? 5 to 25, 7, 784, right? 5, enter number, right? 5 to 25, 7, 784, right? This is how we can find the cube sum of n natural number, right? List. Python program to interchange first and last elements in a list, right? We have this list and we want to change first and last element of this list, right? So we can say nano practice.py. Here we have def main, right? And we have a list, right? We have one list. Let's say we have a list, right? A equals to, we have this list. In here we have 12 comma 55 comma 45 comma 16, right? This is the list. We will print this list. Print a, right? Print a. In here, call a function, right? We don't want this, right? print here, this is main, right? So call this function, right? Call, let's say s. In s we want to save our list and we want to call a function. Let's say our function is list hyphen element. Let's say list element is a function name, right? List element is a function name and we are giving out what? A as a list, right? And then print this list, right? Once you get this, print this list, right? Print this list. So here we will describe our list, right? We will create list function, right? Def list underscore element, element, right? Element, right? Here it will accept a list, right? Let's say s, right? Not s, let's say a only it will accept, right? And we will do what? We will Python program to interchange first and last element of the list. We can do it like this, right? Return what? Return this, or we can say change this value, right? Change this value. This a of what? Zeroth index, right? Zeroth index, comma a of. We have to find the length of this list, right? We have to find the length of this list. We can call another function for this, right? We can say call this function, right? Save it in L, right? L, and call this function, right? We can directly call len function, right? Len of a, right? Len of a, right? It will save what? Length of this list, right? And then we can have L minus 1, right? L minus 1 will be our last element, right? And we can say a of, swap this value, a of L minus 1, right? And comma a of 0, right? Swap this value, and we can return our list. Return a, right? Return a. Now it will return here and it will swap this list value, right? 12 will move here, 16 will move here, right? Control X, yes, enter. Python C vectors.py. Okay, 0. Oh, we have defined O here, right? We have to say 0th index. We have defined O here, right? That should be 0th index, right? Control X, yes, enter. Python C practice.py. 12 was here, 16 was here, 12 is now moved here, 16 has now moved here. Python program to swap two elements in a list, right? So we have this list and user will give us what positions for which he wants to swap, right? So we can do this like this, right? For example, we have a list and we have printed this list, right? Now what we want our user to give us the index number for which he wants to swap, right? We can say uh, s equals to, not s is already defined, right? So we can say z equals to integer input, right? Input the what? Input this value for which user want to swap, right? So we can say input was the index, right? Input the index, right? For which you want to uh, swap, right? Input this, and we can say in y we can have another index, right? Index, right? We can say input this index, right? Input the input another index, right? Input another index, right? Input another index, input another index, and do what? And now we will do what? We will call this function, right? We will say s equals to list element a, right? List element a and print s, right? We will not send a here, right? We will send what? We will send z comma y, right? We will send this list, right? A is the list and z is our what? Index number, first index number, and y is the second index number for which we want to swap the value, right? Now we will reach here, right? We don't require now this last element's number, right? We can directly say this, right? We can say in this, okay, in this function we will receive three parameters, right? A is the what? A is the list, right? Z is our index value, right? First index value. Y is another index value, right? Comma y, right? Y is another index value. In it we will say swap this value, right? For example, swap a of z and a of y, right? A of y with what? A of y and a of z, right? A of y and a of a of z, right? A of z. Swap this value and return this, right? Control X, yes, enter. Python 3 vectors.py, right? So input the index, first index, right? Let's say I want to change swap first and last index, right? First, right? Another index, this is zeroth, first, second, third, right? Third index. Now 55 is here, 16 is here, right? 55 is here, 16 is here, right? So this is how we can swap two elements in a list, right? Swap two elements in a list. Ways to find length, we can easily find the length of a list using len function, right? Ways to check if element exists in list, right? We can say if uh, this, let's say 19 in this list, right? We can find out like this, right? Ways to clear a list, dot clear function we can use with our list, right? We can say list dot clear, right? Reversing a list, we can say list dot reverse, right? A Python program to find sum of elements in a list, right? Sum of elements, this is a list and we want to find the sum of the elements, right? We have this list, right? We have this list and we want to find the sum of the elements of the list, right? We can do what? This is our list, right? Let me make it easy, right? So that we can calculate the sum of the list, right? Or I can use this, right? 12, 15, 3, 10, right? 12, comma 15, comma 3, comma 10, right? This is our list, right? And I want to find what? I want to find the sum of all this, right? Sum of the elements in the list. I can call this function, right? I can call sum function, right? I can say in s, save this value, call this function sum, and I will send this list a, right? A, and I will do what? I will print s, right? I will call this function sum a, right? Sum a, and I will print this, right? Print s, right? Print s, print s, right? And now in here I have to define the sum function, right? I have to define this sum function. Def sum, right? This is a sum function. We have received a list, right? A, and in this, do what? I can use for loop or I can use while loop, right? While do what? I is less than equals to len of a, right? Len of a, right? Len of a. While I is less than equals to len of a. I is what? We have to define I, right? I equals to 0, right? I will start from 0 and will go less than equals to len of a. Len of a will return length of a, right? So we should write here what? Less than, right? Because we the index value is len minus 1, right? So len of a minus 1, right? So we can say I should be less than len of a, right? Then what do we want to do? We want to add, right? We want to add it, right? We can say s equals to s plus equals to a of I, right? A of I, right? And we have to define s here, right? We can say s equals to 0, right? S equals to 0, and we can say increment the value of I by 1, I plus equals to 1, right? I plus equals to 1. When it will come out of the loop, it will return what? Return this value as, right? So it should give us what? It should give us sum, right? Control X, yes, enter. Python 3 practice.py, 40 is the sum, right? 40 is the sum. So this is how we can find the sum of what? Of elements in list. Multiply all numbers in the list same way. We can multiply it, right? We can multiply it. We can say in place of addition, multiply each element, right? Multiply it each element and save it here, right? Control X, yes, enter. We can say Python 3 practice.py 0, right? uh we can have it here, right? We can uh let's say I have this, right? Okay, so I have defined s equals to 0, right? I have to define s equals to 1, right? And uh if I will do this, it will work, right? It will work. If you want to check whether it worked or not, let's say, so we will use this value 1 2 3, right? 1 2 3 will be our list value, right? 1 2 3, right? 1 comma 2 comma 3, right? Control X, yes, enter. Python 3 practice.py 6, right? Multiply all numbers in the list, right? Python program to find the smallest number in the list. We can find it using main function, right? And largest, we can use a max function, right? In the same way, we have a string function, Python program to check if a string is palindrome or not, right? If a string is palindrome or not, right? We can say nanopractice.py, right? We can input a string from the user, right? We can input a string from the user. We can say, let's say if, right? If not if, we'll input a string from the user. We can say s equals to input, right? Input any string, right? We will say input any string, right? And we will check if, right? If what? Let's say for palindrome, we will define a function known as pair, right? If it will return true, right? And we will pass what as here, right? If it will return true, print this, right? Print yes, right? Print yes, yes. Else print, else print what? Print no, right? Else print no, right? Print no, right? Now we will call this function, right? We will create this function. We will create this function, right? We can create this function, right? We can say def. What is the function name of the function? It is pal, right? Pal function. Now pal function will accept a string, right? Which the user has input, right? Now it will check return what? This s, right? Double equals to s of what? S of this colon. I want whole from the first to the last, but I want it in what? From the last, right? From -1. I want it from the -1, right? Control X, yes, enter. For example, string value is this, right? Mal Malayalam. right? We can say Python 3 Malayalam, right? Yes, it's a what? This palindrome. Geeks, let's say geeks. Let's say geeks, right? Geeks, geeks. It's not a palindrome, right? So this is how we can define whether a string is palindrome or not, right? I also want to solve some MCQ, right? Let us solve some MCQ, right? Python MCQ, right? Python MCQ and interview bit, right? We will use interview bit, right? Interview bit, right? Interview bit, right? 50 plus MCQ we have. Let us solve some MCQ, right? What is the maximum length of a Python identifier? So, maximum length of any identifier depends on the RAM, right? It is not fixed. Like in C, right? It is not fixed. Its length varies according to the RAM, right? So we can say it no fixed length is specified, right? Take answer. Correct. No fixed length is identified. What will be the output of the following code? So we can say print this plus this, right? So what will be the output? So how it will solve this? Let us understand this, right? Let me copy this, right? Control C, right? Control V, right? This is it, right? I don't want this, right? So this is it, right? Now what I am doing, I am saying print this side. It will solve first what? Bracket, right? So outer bracket will not be solved. First inner bracket will be solved. So it will say 5 plus 6 is what? It will say 5 plus 6 is what? It is 11, right? And it will solve this, right? This is what? This is 2, right? 1 plus 1 is 2. Power, right? This is power. And this is also a power, right? Plus. Now it will solve this power separately, right? So 11 to the power 22 is what? 11 into 11, it is what? 121, right? And 2 to the power 3, 2 to the 4, 4 to the 8, right? So it will be what? It will be 8, right? 8 plus 121 is what? 129. So this is how it will solve this. 129 would be the answer, right? 129 would be the answer, right? 8 is not the answer, 129 is the answer, right? Check answer, the above will be right. What will be the data type of the variable in the below code snippet, right? Variable equals to 10. Print type of variable, it will be what? Integer, right? Integer value, right? Then variable equals to hello. Now it will be string value. So integer and string, right? Integer and string. Correct answer, integer and string. How is a code block indicated in Python? So in Python, how we define a code block? We use indentation, right? We use indentation. Correct. What will be the output of the following code snippet? Right. For example, we have a equals to 1, 2, 3. A equals to tuple. We have changed it into a tuple. We have said a of 2 equals to 2. We can't change because tuple is immutable. We can't change the value of a tuple, right? So it will throw us error, right? It will throw us error. What will be the output of the following code snippet, right? So we can say type of this, it will print floating value. This is what? Float division, it will give us what? Integer value. So float and integer, right? Correct. What will be the output of the following code snippet? A equals to, this is a list, right? We have sum, right, equals to 0. We have loop through it, right? For ELE in A, for LE in A, right? Sum plus equals to LE, right? So it will do what? It will sum this value, right? Let's say for example for this 1, right? It will print 1 here, right? It will say 1 plus 0 is what? 1, right? Again it will go to another 2. 1 plus 2 is 3. 3 plus 3 is 6. 6 plus 4 is what? 10. 10 plus 5 is 15. 15 is the right answer, right? 15 is the right answer. What will be the output of the following code snippet? Right. So we have count equals to 0. While true, right? So it is true, it will run, right? It if count modulo 3 double equals to 0, print this. If count is greater than 15, break count plus equals to this, right? So we can say count equals to 0. Count is 0 right now. If count, so 0 modulo 3 is 0, right? It is 0. Print this 0. 0 has been printed. So what has been printed? 0 has been printed. This we have inserted white space here, right? 0 has been printed. After that we have white space, right? Then this if condition worked out, right? It will not check this if condition, right? If it checks, right, if count 0 is greater than 15, it is not, then again it will say okay, then it will say while it is true, it is again true, but it has said increment the value by 1, right? Increment the count by 1. So now 1 modulo 3, it is not true. 1 is greater than 3, it is not true. 2 is greater than 2 modulo 3, not 0. 2 modulo 2 is greater than 15, no. 3 modulo 3, yes, print 3, right? 0 3 has been printed, right? 3 is greater than 15, no. 4 modulo 3, no. 4 is greater than 15, no. 5 modulo 3, no. 6 modulo 3, right? So it will say 9 modulo 3, right? 12 modulo 3, right? 15 modulo 3, right? 15 modulo 3 equals to 0. It will print 15, right? 15 is greater than, no. 16. 16 is greater than 15, right? So it has printed what? 3, 6, 0, 3, 6, 0, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, right? And after 15 it break out of this loop, right? Correct answer. Which of the following concept is not a part of the Python? Pointers are not there, loops are there, dynamic typing is there, although no, pointers are not there, right? Pointers are not there. What will be the output of the following code snippet? We have to print what? We have called this function solve 20 comma 20 is a, b is 50, return b if a double equals to 0, a is not equals to 0, so this is irrelevant, right? Else solve uh, b was 50, right? 50 modulo a, right? 50 modulo this a 20. 50 modulo 20 is what? 50 modulo 20 is 50 modulo 20 is what? 10, right? So it will be 10, right? It will be 10, right? 10, right? So it has done what? 15 modulo 10, right? It has done it like this, right? What will be the output of the following code snippet? Print a. 135 has been printed. Solve a. Solve a, right? Okay, this was a function, right? So print a, it is outside, it is inside the function, right? So it will say 246, a is 246, right? Solve a, call this, right? Print a, now call this, right? But print outside, right? So it will print this only, right? This is what? Local. This is outside, this is global, right? So it will always call this, right? Despite this has called this function, it has created it inside the memory in heap and what, stack memory. But when we try to call this a, right, it will say that I will call global variable, right? So it will call again 246, right? This will be the output. What will be the output of the following code snippet, right? We can say This is a function, right? This value equals to global, right? We have called this function, right? But we have declared value is what? Global, right? So we can say value is now local, right? Local will be get printed, right? This global will not get printed. Why? Because we have said this value is global, right? Which of the following are used in exception handling in Python? Try, we will use try, we use except, we use finally, right? All of the correct answer. What will be the output of the following code snippet, right? Print a comma b, 3 comma 1. Swap this value. Put 1 comma 3 in a comma b. Print 3 comma 1, then it will print what? 1 comma 3. So it will print 3 1 and 1 3, right? Which of the following types of loops are not supported in Python? For is supported, while is supported, do while is not supported. Which of the following is a proper syntax to check if a particular element is present in a list? If a particular element is, if ELE in list, right? It will check. If not ELE, not in list, right? It will check for not, right? It will check for not in last, right? So it will both A and B, right? What will be the output of the following code? This is a function, right? We have called this function, right? We have said size 35. 35 has sent here. 35 modulo 15 double equals to 0. No. 35 modulo 3. No. Is not equals to 0. Yes. And 35 modulo 5 is not equal. It is. 35 modulo 3 is equals to 0. No. 35 modulo 5 equals to 0. Yes. 5 will get printed. White space will get printed. 56. 56 modulo 15 equals to 0. No. 56 modulo 3 is not equals to 0. Yes, it is not. 56 modulo 5 is not equals to 0. Yes, it is not. Neither will get printed. 5 neither. 5 15. 15 modulo 15 double equals to 0. Yes, 5. 5 neither 5. 5 39. 39 is sent here. 39 modulo 15 double equals to 0. No. 39 modulo 3 is not equals to 0. No, no. 39 modulo 3 double equals to 0. Yes. 3 will be the last. 3, 5, 5 neither. So this will be the correct answer, right? Correct answer. What will be the output of the following code snippet, right? Check 12. 12 is sent here. Even. Print even if 12 modulo 2 double equals to 0. 12 modulo 2 is equals to 0. So even. What will be the output of the following code snippet? Check from -3 to -1. So -3, -1, -2, -3. Monday, Tuesday, this is not included. Last one, this is excluded. Monday, Tuesday. Monday, Tuesday. What will be the output of the following code snippet? Print A into 3. A is what? A is 1 comma 2. 1 comma 2 is multiplied 3 times. 1 comma 2, 1 comma 2, 1 comma 2. What will be the output of the following code snippet? This del example of 2. Delete this 0 1 2. This Tuesday is deleted. Print example Sunday Monday Wednesday. Sunday Monday Wednesday, right? Sunday Monday Wednesday. What will be the type of the variable sorted numbers in the below code snippet? So sorted is a list function. It will convert this tuple into a list, right? So this sorted number is the list, right? Sorted number is a list. What will be the output of the following code snippet? Right. So this is a tuple. We have converted into a list. There's a lambda function. Even numbers equals to filter. We have passed this lambda function here, and we have passed this list here, right? So it will filter out what? This is a prime number, right? Prime number. Okay, so print type. Okay, so it want to find the type of the even number. It don't want to find which number will get printed, right? So what is the type of the even number? So it is of filter type. We have not converted into a list. Filter returns what? Filter returns filter object, right? So it will return filter type, right? What will be the output of the following code snippet? Tuple converted into a list. X for x in sorted numbers if x modulo 2 is not equals to 0. It should not be equals to 0. Print odd number, right? So what will happen here? It will say x, right? X in x, save x, right? For x in sorted numbers, right? So this is a sorted number. So 4 if 4 modulo 2 it is equals to 0, right? It should not be equals to 0, then save here, right? 7 modulo 2 is not equals to 0. 7 got saved here, right? 19 got saved here. 2 modulo 2 is not equals to 0. Is equals to 0, right? 89 has saved here, 45. So 4, not 4, 7, 19, 89, 45, right? 7, 19, 89, 45. 7, 19, 89, 45. Right. It has sorted it according to what? Ascending order, right? What will be the output of the following code snippet? This is the function. Return this print is even 54. 54 has been sent here. Message f string. 54 is an even number if number modulo 2, the 54 modulo 2 double equals to 0, right? Else this, but it will print this. 54 is an even number, right? Return message, so it will return 54 is an even number, right? What will be the output of the following code snippet? Dictionary 1, dictionary 2, dictionary 1 dot update, dictionary 2, print dictionary 1, whole element will get printed here. First Sunday, second Monday, 1, 3, 2, 4. Right. What will be the output of the following code snippet? S equals to this, print S. This is a set. It will not accept duplicate value, right? 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, right? What will be the output of the following code snippet? A equals to this, B equals to this, print B. B. Value, okay, right? This is a dictionary. This is the key, this is the element, this is the value, right? For k comma value, right? In a dot items will return what? Whole item, right? Key value pair, right? So it will return key value pair hello, hello world, and this first comma 1, right? In here, so this is the first item, so it will loop through it, right? So hello world, it has looped through hello world. K, in K we have saved what? Hello. And in well we have saved what? World. And we have printed it like world is the key now, and hello is the value, right? So world is the key and hello is the value, right? In the same way we have this first one, right? K will save first, val will save 1, right? Now 1 will be here, first will be here, right? So this is correct. Which of the following functions converts date to corresponding time in Python? strp time. strp time. So strp time is the function, right? That converts date into a time, right? What will be the output of the following code snippet? Word, this, and this. Print converted word. Converted word, right? So we have word equals to Python programming. Find the length of this word. It has found out the length of this word, right? What is the length of this word? 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16 17 18, right? So 18 is the length of the word. Word 1 equals to word dot upper. Convert it into uppercase, right? Convert this word into uppercase. Convert it into lowercase. Converted word equals to this, right? In converted word we haven't done anything. We have said for I in range of n, right? So till 18 it will move, right? So it will start from 0. If I modulo 2 double equals to 0, so 0 modulo 2 double equals to 0, right? Converted word plus equals to word of 2 of I. So converted word, add in converted word what? Word of 2i. Word of 2 is what? Lowercase. Lowercase first word. Zeroth word. It would be what? It would be small p, right? Small p. So either this would be true or this would be true, right? Now 1 modulo 2 is not equal to 0. Else convert what? 1 capital Y. P capital Y. Nothing is here, right? So this would be true. Right. 2 modulo 2. Word of 2 is what? 2 modulo 2. Third word. Small t. So it is what? Even odd function, right? Capital H, right? Capital H. Small o, capital N, right? Here it would be small, but it is white space. Then capital. Then small, capital, small, capital, small, capital, small, capital, small, capital, right? So this is true. So we have 4 comma 5, right? Nums equals to a dot split it according to this, right? X comma y equals to nums. Int plot equals to this. Print this int plot, right? So x comma y equals to nums. So it will have what? It will have this 4 and 5, right? 4 will be stored to x, 5 because it has it under list, right? So this list can be assigned here, right? So 4 will be saved here, 5 will be saved here. Integer value of 4 into integer value of 5. So 4 5s are 20, right? So 20 would be the correct answer, right? What will be the output of the following code snippet? Square equals to lambda, right? A equals to this. We have created empty list for I in range of 5. 5 a dot append this, print a, right? So we have called a, right? So we have said what? Lambda x, x is x into 2, right? So a is a empty list for I in range of 5. So 0, it will start from 0. 0 a dot append square of I, right? Square of I. So append this in a, right? So what will be get appended? It is 0, right? So lambda of 0, 0 into 2 is 0, right? Then we have it will become 1. 1 into 2 is 2. 0 2, right? Not 0 2. It will be 1, right? So 1 1 raised to the power. Okay, this is a power. So 1 raised to the power 2, it will be 1, right? So it will be 0 1, right? Then we have 2 raised to the power 4, right? So this would be correct, right? 3 raised to the power 3 0 9, 4 4 is 16, right? 5, it will not print, right? Range. Last element is excluded. What will be the output of the following code snippet, right? So we have this. We are accepting any number of arguments, right? For arg in argv, print arg, right? And this, right? It will say I will accept anything, right? For arg, right? So uh whatever you will receive, print that, right? So it will receive these four, right? These four tuples, right? It will print this, right? It will print all of this. It will loop through all of this. It will say Sunday. Okay, print Sunday, then gap, then Monday, then Tuesday, then Wednesday, right? That answer. As what data type are the args stored when passed into a function tuple, right? What will be the output of the following code snippet? Uh, for key comma value in quarks, so it is key value pair, right? It is dictionary, right? We don't know how many dictionary values are there or key value pairs are there. We can say key comma value in quarks dot items. So it will loop through all of the items, right? And it will print key value pair, right? So it will be Sunday, Monday, this, right? Same as the last one, right? As what data type are the quarks stored when passed into a function? Dictionary, right? Dictionary. Which of the following blocks will always be executed whether an exception is encountered or not in a program? Finally, right? Finally, what will be the output of the following code snippet? uh, Print int a, right? Integer a 2.19, right? Floor value b, b's floor value, it is what? 3, right? uh, Seal value of c, right? It is what? Minus 3.3, right? Minus, so, and fabs of c, right? Okay, this is minus 3 and this is fabs of 3, positive value of c, it will be 3, right? 3.3, this one, right? That will be the output of the following code snippet. Set 1, set 2. We cannot join this like this, right? Plus cannot join this. Error. What keyword is used in Python to raise exception? Raise. What will be the output of the following code snippet? This is set 1, this is set 2. And this sign will do what? We'll find out whether what are not common in both sets, right? So 1 is not common, 2 is common, 3 is not common, 4 is common, 5 is not common, 6 is not common, right? 1 3 5 6, right? What is which of the following is not a valid set operation in Python? Union is there, intersection is there, difference is not there, right? uh, Difference is there, none of the above, right? What will be the output of the following code snippet? A this, B this, uh, X for X in A if X not in B, right? X for X in A, right? So in A, 1 comma 1 will be saved here, it is not in B. 2 will be saved here, 3 will not be saved here, 4 will not be saved. 1 comma 2, right? Which of the following are not valid escape sequence in Python? This is tab, this is not. Okay, not a valid sequence. Which of the following are valid? Valid, I thought not. So all of the above is valid, right? Which of the following are valid string manipulation function in Python? Count is there, upper is there, strip is there, all of the above, right? Which of the following modules need to be imported to handle date time, right? How can assertions be disabled in Python? assertions, we haven't studied this, right? We can directly check the answer. We can disable assertion by passing -o when running Python, right? What will be the output of the following code snippet? Print, list, filter, filter it, right? Bool value, right? A empty is false, right? This is true. ABC will be there. 0 is false, right? 1 will be there, right? So it's a list, so it will be there, right? So AB, A0, 1, right? In which language is Python written? It is written in C, right? It is written in C. What will be the result of the following expression in Python? 2 raised to power 3, 8 plus 5 raised to power 2, 25, right? 25 plus 8, 33. Right. Now let us look some of the interview questions, right? Python interview questions for freshers, right? What is Python? What are the benefits of using Python, right? So Python is a programming language. It's a high level language, right? In high level language, it is what procedural as well as what functional as well as object oriented language, right? Also, it is an interpreted language, right? And what do we mean by interpreted language? That it means that it checks our program line by line, right? Also, it's a dynamic language, right? So this all we can say. What is Python? What are the benefits of using Python? We can say we can create what web apps, right? We can create what we can also do data analysis, right? Using Python, we can use Python in machine learning, right? Because it's a functional programming language and machine language. We need to train our what robots with what functions, right? We will give different input in the function, and function will give us different output, right? So this is how we can train our machine language models, right? So that is about what are the benefits of using Python, right? What is a dynamically typed language? So dynamically typed language are those language which does type checking at runtime, right? So there are compile time and there are runtime, right? So compile time is that when our code is converted into machine language, right? What is runtime? Runtime is when our code is executed, right? So it what is dynamically typed language? It In dynamically typed language, the type of program type checking is done at what runtime, right? So it will give error at runtime, right? It will give error at runtime. It may give error at runtime, right? What is an interpreted language? Interpreted language executes our code line by line, right? Interpreted language executes our code line by line, and it throws error whenever it finds some error. It directly throws an error to the user, right? What is PEP8 and why is it important? PEP8 is a Python enhancement proposal, right? And 8 is the, I think so, why they have given 8 name, because I think so 7 proposals must have been submitted. 8th proposal they find it good, that's why they must have given it what PP8, right? Python enhancement proposal. Now what is it and why is it important? So it is rules, a set of rules and instructions that are given to the developer, Python developer, that you need to follow to increase the readability of a program, right? That is what Python enhancement proposal, right? And it is important so that another developer can understand what the code is written, right? So that is for example, we have a class, right? So in class what we do, we say that a class name should start with capital letter, right? So that is defined in PEP8, right? Also we can say that every function should contain what, every function name should contain what, this parenthesis, right? So we can say that is also written in what, PEP8, right? So how we to increase the readability of a function, we have what, PEP8, Python enhancement proposal, right? What is scope in Python? Scope is what, a, a block of code from which any object is accessible, right? So what is scope? scope is a block of code, right? And on which that object is accessible, that is a scope. Now there are different types of scopes in Python, right? There are local scope, there are global scope, there are private scope, there are protected scope, and there are public scope, right? What is local scope? When the this object is present within the function, right? Or within a block of code, that is called a local scope, right? Now what is global scope? Global scope is when that object can be accessible from anywhere, right? Public scope is also like that, that object can be accessible from anywhere, right? And what is private scope? Private scope is when it is accessible within a block of code, right? And what is what uh, protected scope? Protected scope is when it is accessible on a block of code as well as on other inherited class, right? So a block of code may be defined as a class, right? So within this class, this what protected object is available within this class as well as the class to which this class has been inherited, right? Means this class has been inherited by some other class, right? On which also this object is accessible, right? That is about scope. What are list and tuples? What is the key difference between the two? So list is a collection, list and tuple is a collection, right? And it contains what heterogeneous elements, right? List is ordered, right? It is mutable, right? Also it contains duplicate value, right? Tuples are what immutable, right? They cannot be changed, right? They are ordered and they are what they contain duplicate values, right? What is the key difference between the two? So basically key difference between the two is that list is mutable, tuple is immutable, right? So tuple is immutable. What are the common built-in data types in Python? So there are different built-in data types in Python, right? So they are integer, they are float, they are what bool, they are string, they are list, dictionary, this tuple, set, uh, right? So there are different types of built-in. These are the common built-in data types, right? What is pass in Python? Pass is used to create empty block of code, right? For example, empty function, empty for loop, empty function, empty if else statement, right? So it is used to create empty block of code, right? Either it will then throw us error if we don't pass, if we don't uh, write pass in it, right? In that empty block of code, right? What are modules and packages in Python? Packages are a set of similar modules, right? What is a module? Module is a file which has been written by some other user, right? And in this file, there may be classes, there may be functions, and there may be what? There may be some other properties, right? So there may be some objects, right? So this is a module, right? This is a module. What are global, protected, and private attributes in Python? So what are global attributes? Global, that can be accessible from anywhere, right? Attribute, right? So that attribute can be accessible from anywhere. Now what is protected? Protected attribute can be accessed within the class. Also it can be accessed the class which has inherited that class, right? And what is private attribute? Private attribute can only be accessed within that class, right? That is about this global, protected, and private attributes in Python. What is the use of self in Python? Self is used to pass what? Objects, right? In a class, right? So uh, self is not predefined keyword, right? But it is what? Convention to use self, right? To pass an object within the function of a class, within the constructor of a class, right? What is init? Init is a constructor, right? This is a constructor of a class, right? And it basically creates its job is to create an object, right? Its job is to create an object. Now whenever you create a new object of a class, by default a constructor is called, this is init constructor. We can override this init constructor, right? And we can say I want my own definition of init constructor, right? I can do that, right? What is break, continue, and pass in Python? Break is used to break out of the loop, right? And continue will do what? Will will skip this iteration, right, and start the new iteration, right? For example, for loop is going on and we have five iteration to go in for loop, right? And it started with first iteration, it started with second iteration, right? It started third iteration, and suddenly it found out that continue statement is there if third statement is going in continue, right? So continue will start the new iteration. It will not execute anything that is below continue, right? So that is about continue statement. And what is pass in Python? Pass is used to create what empty function, empty loops, empty if else statements, right? So pass is used to create empty block of code, right? What are unit tests in Python? Unit test is in Python is what? Checking different components of our our program separately, right? So we have some program, right? For example, we have created sum of two numbers, and we want what? Multiplication of two numbers, and we want to use it somewhere, right? So we will check sum of two numbers separately, we will check multiplication of two numbers separately, and we will check that last function which is using the sum of two numbers and multiplication of two numbers separately, right? So uh, this is uh, uh, this is unit test, right? Why do we need unit test? So we need unit test so that we can find out where the fault is, right? Whether the fault is in our first code, whether the fault is in our sum of numbers, whether the fault is in our multiplication of numbers, or whether the fault is in what? In some other components, right? What is docstring in Python? Docstring is used to provide some information to the what? Developer, right? So it's basically a string which provides some information about our function or code uh, to the developer, right? It will not get executed, right? This gets executed, but it will not print on the what? Console, right? So this is docstring. What is a slicing in Python? Slicing in Python is used to get some range of characters or range of values, right? That is called slicing, right? Slicing contains what? Start, from where to start and where to end, right? After colon where to end, and then after colon how much jump you want. You want to start from last, you can say -1. You want to jump two at a time, you can say two at a time, jump two at a time, right? So that is slicing in Python. Explain how can you make a Python script executable on Unix. We will understand it when we will do what? Python script, right? What is the we will do it later in the DevOps bootcamp, right? What is the difference between Python arrays and list, right? So what is the difference between arrays and list? Arrays contains what? Homogeneous elements, right? And this list contains what? Heterogeneous elements, right? So what do we mean by homogeneous element? Arrays will contain what? Same data type element, right? For example, if we have array of integer, right, it will contain only integer value. But in list we can have what? Let's say for example we have a list li, right? So this list can contain what? This list can contain integer value, this list can contain string value, this list can contain any data type, right? So that is about difference between arrays and lists, right? So that was about Python interview questions for freshers, right? So that's it about for this video, right? So uh, if you like this video, please do like, share, comment, and subscribe to my channel, right? And also press that bell icon so that you will get notification of the video whenever I will upload new video, right? uh, so that's it. Please do like, share, and subscribe, because exciting stuff is coming on, right? And you will like it, right? Thank you.